What's going on, manifestors? If you saw the last episode, perhaps now you have an idea of how to use Neville's technique. So just to summarize, essentially what it boils down to is imagining a scene from the end state and summoning the feeling of the wish fulfilled along with the imagined scenario. Neville's technique gives you a first-hand example of how to set an intention. This imagination plus the feeling of the wish fulfilled is an act of intention. It's an expression of the will. It's an act of volition. Now, there are many different ways to set an intention. This is one of many that we'll be covering in the show. But just know this, whatever the phenomena of intending or expressing your will is, it's a power that emerges from within you. And with it, you can influence your environment and your circumstances. Now, I know this can sound very baloney and wishy-washy, but in order to actually get a feel of it, you have to play with this yourself. You have to do the work. But guess what? You have literally nothing to lose. Nothing at all. All you're doing is using your imagination, visualizing, and summoning the feeling, the wish being fulfilled. At most, this will probably take you 10 minutes a day. So you practically have no excuses to not try it. And once you see, you cannot unsee. Once you see how intention affects the material universe, there's no going back. You can accomplish whatever it is you set your mind to. But start with step one, which is setting the intention. This will set you apart from literally 99% of other people, because most people go living life hoping and wishing things work their way. Whereas when you intend, you're deciding. There's a difference. You're no longer wishing or wanting. You know for a fact it is coming your way. That's all it comes down to. Setting that expectation, deciding, setting that intention, knowing for a fact that which you desire is already yours. It may not make much sense to why this works, but the best way to expedite the learning process may be to explore dream states. We covered this in a previous show. And now for the remainder of this show, we'll be covering 2 case studies from 2 really good friends of mine. The first one is pretty wild, so I'm going to start with that. A good old friend of mine, we've almost been friends for nearly a decade now, used Neville's technique to bootstrap his own YouTube brand. The friend I'm talking about is none other than Bobby Buckets, and the brand that I'm referring to is the one and only Shonen Showdown. Go check it out. He has over 80,000 subscribers and is well on his way to 100,000 subscribers. We will have him on as a guest in a future show. But he started off his channel 3 years ago, and night after night, in his imagination, he dwelled in the end state. He imagined what it would be like to have a massive YouTube brand. He did not think about the end state. He thought from the end state. Now that's a key difference. We all think about things that we desire. But to think from the end state of those things we desire is a whole different ballgame. And it's a powerful mode of perception. And it just so happens within the course of the next few months, my friend Bobby will go full-time YouTube. The second case study we'll be looking at happened to another really close friend of mine. I won't be sharing his personal details because he doesn't feel comfortable at the moment. However, the account goes as follows. A couple of years ago, when we finished our freshman year of college, my friend went back home to New York City and really wanted a job out in Manhattan. At the time, him and his family lived out all the way in Queens. But more than anything in the world, he wanted a job in the city. At the time, he had no means of acquiring such a job. He applied left and right and no avail. He either got rejected or no one got back to him. That didn't stop him though. At this point, he decided to use Neville's technique. He went into his imagination every night and visualized being in the city, walking around, looking at the New York City skyline, and feeling what it would be like to work there, summoning that feeling of excitement and fulfillment and joy. He did this for 2 weeks straight. And one key point to mention about his visualization was every night he would imagine one building in particular, and that was none other than the Empire State Building. So in the course of about 2 weeks, he's catching up with one of his aunts, and it turns out that she works at a Banana Republic over by Rockefeller Center. So she hooks him up with the interview. He goes through 2 rounds of the interview, lands the job, but last minute, the manager pulls him in and tells him, unfortunately, we won't be placing you for the Rockefeller Center location. You're assigned to the Herald Square location. And to his disbelief, right in front of the Banana Republic at the Herald Square location was the Empire State Building. He was shocked. And he spent the rest of that summer working right in front of the Empire State Building in Manhattan. When you use Neville's technique, or when you use any technique to manifest, things will happen always in plausible but unlikely ways. Ways that you cannot even foresee. All you have to do is decide, is to set that intention. Until next time, happy manifesting.